We are digging. Many people's hide is increasing safety. That includes limiting who can contact them to just their followers and limiting the content they can see to exclude sensitive material. Also, time limit reminders after an hour and sleep mode. Now, this all comes amid growing pressure from governments on safety. The BC government has been pushing social media platforms to increase their safety measures for teens. Nikki Sharma is BC's Attorney General, and she spoke with.
I think that
You can also hit pound 690 on your phone, or you can email bctoday@cbc.ca. And joining me now is Tiana Sharifi, CEO of the Online Exploitation Institute. That's a group that provides education on online safety. Hi, Tiana. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for being here. I love the time reminders because every teen listens to reminders.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think of these new rules?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to acknowledge when platforms do take a step, but I do think that it's important for us to really praise the parents, the advocates that have fought for these platforms to be held accountable. And we're seeing because of that pressure, that's the only reason that these platforms for our businesses are, putting in more steps. I think that some of these tools that they're putting into place for teen accounts is actually going to be incredibly helpful. And at the same time, there's definitely a huge space for growth, and it does put the pressure back on the parents.
Okay, so let's go through that. In practical, tangible terms, what are the tools that you think are useful?
Well, one thing that we've been talking about for quite a long time now is we believe that influencer culture and what teens are exposed to so much these days really normalizes the commodification of themselves and people. And it really leads to sexual exploitation and the risks, the high risk behavior that we see. So knowing that not anybody can now message or contact these minors because they're going to have private accounts, that's going to be a huge step because then you have these predatory people that are looking to predate on these, the needs that these kids have to want to be famous or make quick, easy cash. That's going to be hopefully prevented. And in addition, we're hoping that the sensitive content that Instagram is going to try and, prevent these young people from seeing is also going to be inclusive of that influencer culture or exploitative behaviors online.
And when you say it puts the onus back on parents, what kind of onus?
Well, it goes back on the parent to be able to supervise their child, right? And this is just one platform that then they have to go and supervise on. And parents have so many responsibilities in this day and age. We are bombarded with, nutrition,
Right.
positive, gentle parenting,
Yes.
making sure that they're well-rounded in sports and hobbies and all of these things, right? So the last thing I think parents need is just putting it back on them that you now have to go out of your way, despite the, full-time work that you do.
Right.
To monitor your child's activity on Instagram.
Can you tell me how that would work exactly? Because my son has an Instagram account. We are friends and follow each other, but I don't know that I can look at his account
Yes.
right now.
So from what they've said, you would be able to, so the parent and the teen account would actually be locked together. You'd have to send permission to have connection to each other's accounts. And then you would be able to see who your child is accepting as a friend or follower. And supposedly you'll be able to see some activities that are going on as well. Again, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if you could just talk about it too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which is what I hopefully do. We're going to put out the numbers again. Let us know if you're a parent, do you have peace of mind that your child is safe when online and interacting online? And what are some things that you would like to see? What do you make of this? An Instagram teen account that can be linked to a parent's account. Some of the limits include restricting those who can send a private message to your teen to just people they know, people they've already been in contact with, their followers, and also limiting the kind of content they can see, so restricting away or excluding sensitive material. What do you think of that? And this is just Instagram, so there's also TikTok and Snapchat. What would you like to see from them? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. And if you're not a parent, if you're someone who works, has a loved one who's a teen, we'd like to hear from you. If you're a teen who's home today, you can call us too, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And my guest is Tiana Sharifi, who's CEO of the Online Exploitation Institute. So as I mentioned, this is one social media platform. What about the others?
And that's the problem, right? So again, they're putting the onus back on the parents, but then what's going to happen is that every parent then needs to monitor how many platforms that their kids are on, number one, right? Instead of these platforms taking accountability to make sure that their platforms are safe, right? And really putting certain things in place. Hopefully we start to see, Snapchat is one of the top apps where we see online sexual exploitation and sextortion happen. So,
I can't imagine. I don't know a parent who knows Snapchat well. Like that.
Yeah, no, I don't even,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even use it, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that even with Instagram, for example, Meta putting in these protocols, there's still vanish mode for messages, right? So that in itself actually creates a huge vulnerability for our young people because they believe that what they're posting is temporary.
Right.
And it really inhibits this understanding that there can be permanent or long-term consequences. And then also, great, you can, approve before somebody messages you, but we're putting it in their hands to approve, right?
Okay, someone can still do so if they're approved.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's take a call here asking you if you have peace of mind around your teens' use of social media platforms. What do you think would help? What do you do to ensure that they are safe? How do you handle social media in your house? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone, talking about the new Instagram teen account. And Nick is calling us from Vernon. Hi, Nick.
Hey, how's it going?
I am well, and tell us about your own family.
So we have a 12-year-old daughter, so not quite a teen. And, during the pandemic and all that, like being online with friends was kind of one of the only ways she could hang out for a while. So friends from school, instead of hanging out every day around the neighborhood or at school, we're online together. So they're meeting up in games like Roblox or, some of the popular ones. Animal Jam is one of them. And basically what we've set up is we use Messenger Kids. So through my wife's account, she I think how it works is first we need to be friends with the parents, and then both parents allow the kids to link up on this Messenger.
Nice.
So now they're on these big games, and they can meet up in like Roblox or Animal Jam, and they can speak with each other with audio. So it's like a phone call where we're not being billed, and they can only speak to each other, really, because sometimes it's confusing, like, who else is on these games? How old are these other people?
Yeah.
We've heard some kind of sketchy stuff about, weird behavior from people kind of trying to interact with children on there. So that sort of just gave us peace of mind where they have a direct link between each other through MSN sorry, I don't know if it's MSN Messenger Kids or if it's through Meta, like the Facebook Messenger Kids. But that's kind of like how we've sort of managed to feel good about what she's up to. The other thing we've decided is like until she's 16 or like has her own job or like driving and showing some real kind of like adult moves in life, we're going to not really allow straight up social media. So Facebook, Instagram, I just feel like it's a little too heavy duty for kids their age to kind of be out there in that way. And just kind of, it's a lot of like stressful comparing each other's lives and trying to meet up to these standards that aren't really realistic.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's really a fair sort of thing to put on a kid at that age. So once she's, got a driver's license or a job kind of thing, like a part-time job, then she can get an Instagram and that's kind of where we're at with it.
Wow. I mean, you've put so much thought into this. I love listening to how you've approached it, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be worrying about what she's up to or who is interacting with her.
Yeah.
But if I know that she's hanging out with her best buddies and they're running around in these fun games, that's totally cool on our end.
Yeah, I have to say that's kind of what my approach was as well. So I always knew who it actually was they were interacting with. Really fantastic. Thank you so much for calling in.
You're welcome. Take
Yeah,
care.
take care. That's Nick and Vernon. Is it Messenger Kids then?
I'm not sure.
That's really cool. Okay, so it's basically being able to connect first with the parents and ensuring that it is their kids who are interacting with you. But I had, my kids were also on Discord and Roblox at that age. What do you make of that? Is it possible now? I know sometimes we say it's better to let them actually experiment with social media, but is it possible to say, I take his point that it's a lot to put on a teen to take in all of that, that information and content that does force you to compare yourself. So what's your stance on that?
I think that our caller was really balanced in his approach. And I would say that the more you can delay, the better. It's sometimes not as realistic. And I think that there needs to be a two-parted approach where on one hand, it is your job as the parent to make sure that you're limiting their exposure because minors are minors for a reason. We have our laws in place for a reason. Their brains are not fully developed. And then on the other hand, we have to make sure that we have conversations with them and we have an internet agreement or, whatever it is where you're having this conversation so that you feel safe with them taking safe risks online, right? We can't just say, they'll learn
Right.
when it comes to the harms that can happen digitally, which are actually quite intense and can be quite severe.
Absolutely. And we've had some tragic cases
Yeah.
here in BC. And you know what he said too about perhaps tying it to the maturity level, to his daughter's maturity level. And, and if you can handle something like driving or handle, other responsibilities, then you have the maturity to handle social media. I really like that. Let's take another call. Shannon in Souk. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead. What do you think? How do you feel as a parent?
Well, I have to say, I don't feel very comfortable about the idea at all. And I know the person I spoke to before said, oh, no one said that yet. I feel terrified. Always do.
I think a lot of people do. I don't know. I don't think you're alone.
I'm just saying it. And I found the easiest thing for me to cope with it is trying to teach my child and her friends in an open dialogue that it's okay to not know and it's okay to feel comfortable and to walk away on her own account, but also if someone else on their account is showing her something. I think that's my big fear is that no matter how much I can restrict her account, there's still the other friend who has full access or the other friend who has things that I can't absolutely control. So it's teaching her that you might still come across things that aren't okay and learning how to safely and responsibly be able to say, I'm at a safety limit for myself and I'm going to walk away in a way that's not embarrassing.
Oh my goodness, there's so much there. That is fantastic. I love when you said it's okay for me to not know this and to not consume it. Is that what you said, Shannon?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't be able to constantly make those choices for her, so I want her to be able, and we go through scenarios sometimes, and we'll see some on my own feed that I'll get and be like, oh, that's not what I wanted to see. Go past it or choose to avoid it.
It sounds like you've talked to your daughter a lot about boundaries.
Yes, well, I have a background in trauma, so having been in those fields, learning to advocate and feel comfortable has been a really strong one for us, as well as what I noticed with some of those is talking to the kids about who's in the background of the pictures you're taking. So I've had some pretty open discussions about, does everybody else in the room know that you're taking a picture? Are there any reflective surfaces? Because if you accidentally get someone in the mirror, you've just posted something that you didn't mean to, and trying to let them know, like, mistakes are okay, but you have to come and talk to us so that we can help.
Wow. Any thoughts, Tiana, while we have Shannon on the line?
That's beautiful. You've hit the right marks. What we see being so incredibly effective is incorporating the consent and boundaries into the digital space. But I think what's so incredible about what you've been doing with the open conversation is allowing this safe space to make mistakes and to not know, and for you also being able to communicate with your child about when you've made mistakes or when you see something that you don't know, and showing, mirroring the kind of behavior that you hope that she starts to do. So I just, yeah, that's wonderful.
And Shannon, you said, when she decides something is just, not, doesn't feel safe for her, and you said, try to and back out and leave in a, I think you said, non-embarrassing way. Like, what are the strategies that you've gone through with her?
So for those, they tend to be finding either a different, I just like if what one of the things she can do is she can always, I've got an app for her where she can make her phone ring.
She can make her phone ring
as if I'm calling her, and so then she knows to kind of talk as if I'm calling her, and it excuses her out of the room if she's got her phone on her. But that only works if no one else can see her playing with her phone. The other thing is, depending on her confidence, is just having her actually practice and doing it with her friends as well when I have the opportunity, and talking to the parents that I am doing that, but saying, I think I'm going to leave for a moment, or I think I'm going to go over here for a moment. Not having to say, makes me uncomfortable, because, well, we love that our kids can do that.
Sure.
I remember being a teenager and being able to walk away is hard enough, let alone what you're doing is not something I consent to.
I'm not allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I just don't feel comfortable, or I'm not sure. That's a hard thing to say when you're young.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
Way to
hard
go.
as an adult.
It's true. And I think it's so commendable that you have those boundaries, and you talk about that, how comfortable do you feel, and giving her strategies to leave and to have an out. Shannon, I know you said you started off by saying you don't have peace of mind at all, but then you came out with these measures and strategies that tell us that you should have peace of mind.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I tell her too. I've seen things online that you can't unsee.
Yeah.
And, just keeping it realistic with them too, that if it's not me you're going to talk to another safe adult, but make sure that you have someone to talk to is a really big one for that.
Yeah, fantastic. Shannon, thank you so much for your call.
Thanks for taking me. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Wow, two inspiring parents.
That's
right
amazing.
There. And it's great to hear parents, have these strategies, but at the same time, like she said, I still don't have peace of mind that these measures are going to be enough. And so what about, as you started out saying, Tiana, Meta only came, pushed forward with this after facing so much pressure, after facing advocacy. So what needs to be done when it comes to governments, for example? Because we know the BC government has been trying to put forward legislation to hold social media companies accountable. Now they're kind of working together to come up with strategies. But what are the rules? What are the standards that actually need to be enforced?
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that the second our government started to say, hey, you can get sued for not being proactive, that's when these social media companies started to say, oh, well, let's collaborate together. So I do think legislation, governments have such a huge role to play, and I'm very proud of BC for the actions and just being how proactive that they're being right now. I think that there needs to be more accountability on the platform to create a safe space in itself. So
for any age.
For any age. Because at the end of the day, it's if you're allowing predatory people and exploitation to happen on your platform, it's at some point going to reach the young people that are on there. And you have a role to play. It's your responsibility. If you're putting something out there that the population is on, it's your responsibility to look out for those people. Those are your consumers. And you want to make sure that they have healthy, safe experiences. So, again, it's so difficult for young people and even adults if they have inappropriate content or something wrong happen to them on especially platforms like Meta. It is impossible to get a hold of a real person. It's very difficult to get a response right away that they're going to take that content down or take, proactive measures. So
you're dealing with a faceless company.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to really feel for people who, as much as we can try to stay on top of things and come up with these solutions, you feel for people who just have not had the tools, have been targeted through no fault of their own. And so now we have this tool or this new teen account. What would be your advice for people then as these tools are put in place? How can we use them to our benefit?
Yeah, I mean, the first piece is it really gives that opportunity, an authentic and natural opportunity for parents to talk about the usage. Okay, so these are new things that are going to come in play. I'm happy that there's going to be a little bit of protocol put in place. Now let's talk about what that's going to look like, because we're going to share that responsibility together as parents. And Shannon spelled this out so perfectly, because this is what we do when we educate our through our educational programs, is we come up with the different ways a young person can get out of a situation in ways that they feel comfortable, because saying block that person or just stop responding, well, maybe you're not comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So we want to give them multiple ways to do that. We want to talk to them about what is, what's an unsafe or unhealthy person or unsafe behaviors online. And I think something that we need to start talking about much more frequently now is AI. It's very easy to create a deep fake profile and say that you go to the same school and take over somebody's account and friend request. And so these conversations still need to be had. And I think that, as parents and community, we have to educate and inform ourselves on these things so we can have those conversations.
Wow. Well, I'm really glad that you were here for this conversation today. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Tiana Sharifi is CEO of the Online Exploitation Institute. Kathy wrote us